What's going on, guys? Niko here, and in this video, we're going to be breaking down how the melody from ASTRONOMIA that is now popular in the Coffin dance anthem works. We're going to go through the melody, the chord progressions, the sound design, and so much more, so make sure you watch this video from start to finish. Here's the melody we're going to be breaking down. Before we jump in, want to let you know that I'm giving away 1,000 melodies royalty-free. Comment down below, Melody Mastery. I select one winner every Friday. So jumping into our lead here, there are 3 things that ViceTone is doing to mess around with the pitch and make it a little bit more grittier. So I jump here into Spire, and this is the synth that they used to create the sound, and they used a basic sine wave. Now, if you're not familiar with Spire, this pretty much follows any type of VST, serum, silent, whatever it may be. Now, there are 2 oscillators that they're running. Both of them are sine waves, but one of the sine waves actually has a different fine. Now, what this fine tuning does, let's just show you for an example. This is the first thing. If I play this, this is similar to your detuning knob in Serum, so this makes it a little bit more grittier. Now, the next thing they're doing is they're messing around with the glide knob, and that's when you glide from notes to notes, and this glide really gels the melody together in a sense. Now, I'm going to show you on the part right here where it goes very quickly. When you turn the glide knob up, listen to this now. One, dun, 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 dun. Subtle, but it makes a really big difference. Now, the last thing that they're doing is they're using something called an LFO. I'm not going to jump deep into a huge sound design tutorial here, but what the LFO is basically doing here, it's oscillating the pitch based on the wave form. So just to show you what's going on here, let me make these 0. Let's assume that these don't exist. Take this glide off. Let's just listen again from the top. And there's 2 different LFOs that they can be using to modulate the pitch. They use a square wave here and a sine wave here. Let's listen. And there's some other things going on in here as well, but I just wanted to show you a couple of the things that you can be using, because I know I cover composition a lot on this channel, but these small added effects are going to help you so much as music producers. So let's break down the composition here. Looking first at our bass line, because that's what gives us the chord progression that our melody can sit over. Now, there aren't any chords being played, but the root note of the bass line really sets the tone for the song. So what we have here, because I transposed it to the key of C, which means all the white keys, is we have an F, F, G, and A. So basically an F major chord, a G major chord, and an A minor chord. This is a great bass line to keep the tension. So if you just listen in now, we'll solo these together. And you notice that bass line has like those double notes together with the nice spacing. Now, jumping into our melody here, this is a fantastic melody, and we're going to go through all the melody starters, so I'm glad you're still with us. Now, the way I like to look at this melody is by breaking it down piece by piece. So the intro hook here is a 2-1-7-5. So if you have a keyboard in front of you, very simple to play. The notes are going to be highlighted. And then following that, we have a melody that repeats over and over and over again. So if I play it for you right here. Now, some key things to note, the melody starters are going to pop on the screen, so you can just look at those and follow along with the keyboard, right? So the first thing I really like after that intro hook is the interval that is introduced, known as the perfect fifth. So if you just listen in. Right here, the A to an E is known as a perfect fifth. And whenever you introduce perfect fifths in your melody, that's whether it be from a C to a G, a D to an A, it starts to introduce an openness and a nice mystery. And as the melody continues going, it ascends, it goes back down, it ascends, it goes back down. Nice movement. At this point right here, this big jump is what really keeps the listener engaged, because had I taken these notes and moved them down an octave, it sounds so much better. So guys, the second tip you can take away from this, the first one was the perfect fifths. The second one is that when you jump things up an octave, just by testing it out, just do literally what I just did. Jump it up an octave and see how your melody is going to sound. Now, the third thing I really like about this melody here is when Vice Tone starts chopping it up into eighth notes right here. So just this melodic pattern right here of the 1, the 3, the 2, the 5, and then it resolves to the A. So something that a lot of people confuse is when I say I'm using everything in the key of C major and A minor, the way we determine the key of the song technically is based off the feeling of the song, because the same notes apply whether we're in the key of C major or A minor. It's the same 7 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like you see on your screen here. So those are 3 things that I really like about the melody. So when you take this melody, you combine it with a bass, and then you combine it with a kick, it has a really nice groove to it, the way they play off each other. So let's just listen in here. I'm going to close this, and I'll just play the 3 instruments together. So I want to give you guys a couple of mixing tricks as well before I end this tutorial. The first one being, when the lead finally ends in this demo, I have 2 automations going on, just smoothing it on its way out. The first one being creative filter, where the frequency, as you can see right here, has a nice U shape to it. And as you listen on the way out, and I have a little bit of resonance just to give it a nice flavor and color to it. And then on the other end of it, I'm using Endless Smile by Dada Life. And what this is doing is it's basically adding reverb and a bunch of different other effects on the way out as well. So if I turn off the filter and run this, it has a delay, it has reverb, it has a lot of things going on. Now, when I combine the 2 together, I feel like it makes very nice complements. It has that like interesting sound effect that I tried to make with my voice. And the last thing I want to show you guys is just the processing chain that I have on my lead, aka what happens when we go from Spire, what happens next to the sound. So the first thing I have is a just nice low cut to get rid of any low information. The lead does not need this. We want this to be a bright lead. I thought it was a little too bright actually, so I lowered some of the higher frequencies as well. I use then a plugin called Soothe, which it will just duck some of the harsh frequencies. I'm not applying a heavy depth here. It's on here very lightly and you could see it working. Just getting rid of some of the harsher frequencies. From there, I have another FabFilter Pro Q2, which what I did is I went through more and tried to get rid of some more of these resonant frequencies. So if I just solo this band right here, it sounded really harsh to me, so I just got rid of that frequency, and I also raised the sides of my mix. So basically the lead will sound wider because I boosted my sides. Going from there, after all that EQ work, I have a compressor on the lead because it felt like it just had a little bit too much attack and I wanted to squeeze it together to get a little bit more sound out of it. So I used the Cytomic glue. And then from there, I have some OTT. I have a limiter, and then I have Endless Smile as I showed you. I have some side chaining going on. And the last part about this is the reverb behind it. So what I've done is my reverb actually only comes in when the notes end. So I basically send reverb to a different bus. So that's what these buses are for. It takes the audio and sends it to another channel so that I could further process it with different types of plugins like reverb, delays, etc. So we go here and we look, I have a nice Valhalla vintage reverb. And honestly, this reverb is what makes this sound so nice and fills up the entire mix. And then from there, what I have going on though, is you'll look at this compressor right here and something interesting is happening. You notice when the notes aren't playing, the compressor, and let me mute this just to show you. It keeps going like this. And what we're doing here is we're actually volume ducking the reverb. So whenever a note is playing, the reverb is not playing as much on it. When the note ends, that's when the reverb expands, right? And the reason we do this is because a lot of times people drown their leads in reverb, which can be a big issue when it comes to the mix. And if your lead has too much reverb on it, it sounds kind of just like not full, but just like not smooth. It sounds mucky, it sounds muddy, and it's just not good for your mix. So this is a reverb trick that I'm doing, and this is probably for another video. I know Big Z out there, shout out to him. He has a great tutorial on this. I'll probably make one in the future just because I do a lot of these different demos. But really, that's what's going on here, guys. That's what I was doing with this track. I wanted to show you guys the melody, but also show you a couple of different mixing tricks that are going on, some of the composition, some of the sound design, to make you an overall better composer, songwriter, and producer. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe down below. Leave the comment Melody Mastery. Not only do you get a chance to win 1,000 melodies, you also help the algorithm get this video in front of more people. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you next time.